All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the On Time, On Target morning brief, our master class on investing with military precision. Go ahead with the podcast update, up to 628 total downloads, so tacked on about 40 from yesterday. So pretty happy with that. Also have a few more guest appearances coming up, which will help promote the show. So hopefully that will add to increasing our squadron membership from 6, of which 5 of the 6 are here today. So thanks. I like that. All right. So grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. Today we're talking about Chinese stocks. These are all under the grow your money category because they are all high risk, not only from what they do, but there's also country risk. So country risk meaning China, obviously communist society, and can we trust the numbers that are coming out of China? Luck and coffee. Also, it's their government can get involved with some of their policies, so that can change some things. And then we also have political risk on our side, because obviously you hear Trump every now and then talk about anti-China stuff. The FBI director this morning also came out with some unbelievable numbers. He said as far as how much China steals our technology. So not a good headline. We kind of know that's been going on for years, though. But I think that's, when folks ask me about the election and what will happen to the market, the Democratic side is one thing because of tax reform. But even if Trump gets reelected, I think we are going to see some draconian measures against China, which again would shake things up in the market. We'll talk about some Chinese stocks. We'll also talk about the role of the custodian today. So there's still some confusion out there with folks. So I'm going to answer that and then probably do a podcast on that later on. So I'll be setting kind of the framework for the podcast today on the role of the custodian. For overall flow today, we will talk a long stuff at the beginning, go short, and then get through the open, finish up our shorts, and then talk long stuff and get into the Q&A. We'll do a market review on where we've been and especially how we are in relation to that channel that we're still in an uptrend on. We'll talk about today's headlines. I just looked at the futures there. Everything's in the green now. So I know yesterday was ugly, but it's not an instant W if we have one day down out of the last 6. So we'll talk more about that. There's the 6 names we'll talk about, including 5 individual names, and then FXI is the country ETF for China. And we'll get on into the open and the Q&A. For contingencies, Steve at OTOTnow.com is where you can get answers. And standard disclaimer, this is a financial educational presentation, and you have to do your own due diligence before acting on anything that you hear today. All right, let's take a look at where we've been in the past year. And of note, really where we've been in the past 6 days, we are still in an uptrend. So we basically had 5 days straight up, as you can see, even though one of them was red. And then we had the down day yesterday. The one down day out of 6 brought a crap ton, yes, that's an official term, of negative headlines yesterday saying that the W has begun. One of you sent me that this morning. The W has not begun. We took one day off from a 5-day straight up move. So I'm not concerned at all. So when you look at this chart, where am I going to get concerned? It's going to be blah, 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 honestly, until we break back below 300. That's it. Or 3,000 if you're using the actual SPY kind of numbers. We're at 31.45. Literally don't care as long as we stay above 300. If we break below 300, then it's kind of now that channel's been broken and the technicals now point that we would fall out the bottom side of the channel. There are some people out there that are calling that now that the channel held, that there's going to be a move in store to the upside. I don't know. I do think that out of the entire market, that the market's been being carried by a few names. So if you hear folks on TV talk about market leadership, it's one thing if you have the whole market chugging higher. It's a different situation when you have just a few really rock solid companies dragging the market higher. And that's kind of what we have now. That's not as strong as if you have the whole market chunking higher, if you will. But there's nothing wrong with this chart. When I look at the chart, I'm not going to say that that's anything other than the letter V right now. We have literally 1% down, and people are trying to call the W has begun. Okay, no, it hath not begun. So it may, but no, not right now. All right, so let's zoom in on the past 5 days. Again, we talked about pretty much a straight line up, and then yesterday, yep, we had some selling, especially kind of some hard selling off into the close. But the fact that we're opening in the green today is a really good sign. So that kind of held. All right, so that's all we can get out of that. As far as earnings, the big name I saw out there is Levi Strauss. Kind of no shocker here. Levi got hit hard, and that was last night after the close is when that came out, and they got hit hard. And no surprising there, their stock is off significantly. So we'll watch Levi short today. As far as our news, well, let's go down to CNBC and check out the headlines. As you can see, everything is in the green across the board for opening up. That has not been the case. That just happened about 5 minutes ago, actually 10 minutes ago, right before we went live on air. All right, let's check out Europe. Okay, Europe in the red across the board. Okay, and Asia, a little bit mixed. China's still pretty strong. Okay, and US, here's our numbers from yesterday. Again, 1% across the board, pretty much. VIX down at 28. So VIX was, a down market, and the VIX goes down too. That's generally backwards. So we'll see what's going on. All right, over to bonds. I did not see much movement. A little bit in the green there for the 10-year. Off to oil. Holding $40. I like that. And then over to precious metals. Gold's been doing pretty well. So 1815, again, that's a multi-year kind of high or 9-year peak. We'll see. That could jump up to as the election gets closer. So, all right, back to our pre-market. We'll go talk to some headlines. Okay, mortgage demand was this morning, big spike there. Again, no real shock as far as the housing market and refinancing and all that is very strong. There was some concerns about COVID, going over into the housing market. That has not played out whatsoever, and I don't see that playing out at all. It's interesting. There's that central business districts exodus. We shall see how business has changed. We already talked about how all of us changed with the work from home environment. I did go out to eat with the family last night, and other than these 25% capacity or what 50 or whatever we're at, other than that, went great. I don't know how business will change after this. If our little business districts are going to thin out, or if they're going to come back with a vengeance. So we don't know. All right, Brooks Brothers, yep, filed for bankruptcy. So expect them to be gone or get bought. More likely, they're big enough to probably get bought, and they have some prime real estate, obviously, in higher end sort of stuff. That's an interesting headline. I did not see this earlier, the one about the delayed election results. So a few of you I've talked to this about is what's the worst scenario of the election in November is the fact that either there's something that affects, whether it's riots or whatever, affects the election itself. So people can't get out to vote, and then that delays a result, or there's so much accusations from both sides that we can't trust the election, and then that just punts it down the road and Trump stays in power, which I could see him being exactly the kind of guy that would say, okay, well, there's enough concern about the election results that I'm just going to stay in power for another, 4 years while we figure it out. I don't know. We shall see. But I think that is a bigger issue than either decisive side winning there. Maybe Kanye winning would be the most concerning for the market there. Okay. There's the theme park headline. Disney World, if you didn't catch this, Disney World is open Saturday. So they're being shamed pretty hard for it in the news, but they're still pressing with opening up. Disneyland in California is not. The Disney World is. As far as other SeaWorlds are back open in some capacity. So things are starting to open back up. So we shall see what the what the word is from the theme parks. And of course, Disneyland China opened up like months ago. All right, analyst calls. Nikola, excuse me, got an upgrade. Several articles out about how this is a paper tiger. It's actually market cap bigger than Ford, really, and they've hardly made anything more than prototypes, so it's kind of ridiculous. So I would imagine that stock will end up back down at 20, but of course it gets an upgrade today, and it's jumped like 10% off of that. So we'll look as a day trade, Nikola long off the headline. Let's see. That great market divergence, that's the article talking about, hey, we're in the channel. Whichever way we break out of the channel is probably going to carry the day for a while. Apple got another upgrade, a $400 price target. It's almost there already. It's up at 370. Another news headline related to Apple is Berkshire Hathaway actually published that 43% of their money is in Apple stock, and he called it the best company in the world. That's pretty good news. I like when I read Warren Buffett saying things that I've been saying for the past 7 years now. So good for all of us. Good for me, good for Buffett, good for Apple. I still, when you look at all the companies out there, they are, high margin, highly addictive product with perfect packaging, must have. It's really just the best out there. Biogen has got an upgrade today. It's another, we talked about this name yesterday, but they got an upgrade for Alzheimer's. So it's out of the news now, obviously, because of COVID, but Eli Lilly jumped for a while. It was last year, I think, on Alzheimer's, but obviously Alzheimer's is something that is terrible and affects a lot of people. And if anybody can crack the code on it, they're going to make a lot of money. So there's some new funding going towards that. So we shall see. Intersect ENT got bought by Medtronic, so those stocks have already reset. Not too worried about that. There's the upgrade for Nikola after the sell-off. Kind of crazy, but I think it sells off more. All right, let's continue on down and get to some more headlines. There's the FBI chief story. I already talked to you about that. I don't like his analogy of largest wealth transfer. Yeah, they're stealing our technology, but I'm not sure that's a real wealth transfer. He's trying to shame them into come up with your own stuff, but I don't know. I don't buy the wealth transfer analogy. All right, you can keep going. Don't see anything to talk about here. Well, yeah, I guess TikTok. TikTok is an Americanized version. I mean, ByteDance is the private firm that came up with TikTok, but TikTok's pretty much a ripoff of Snapchat, except done better, right? So, I mean, it's kind of hard to shame them when they took a product and made it better and made it a must-have. So, all right, that can be enough for the headlines. We can go off into the longs of the day, which are China. So we're on a China theme. Obviously, you can't own TikTok outright, and you can't own the parent company ByteDance either. The best you can do really for stuff like that is in a couple of the names we have up here, which are Tencent Holdings, TCEHY. Yep, I said that right. And YY, which is the old Huya, which is all things social media. So we'll start in the upper left. This is the one that I recommend the most. I have for a long time. It has always been in my top 10. I can't say always. Since I've been in business, it's been in my top 10 holdings. They are basically, some people call it the Chinese Amazon. Chuckle. They're bigger than Amazon, right? So it's Amazon on steroids, if you will. And they have their hands in a lot of things. And you think, okay, well, so does Amazon. No, Alibaba is everything. So they have an arm called Ant Financial, which is actually, interesting enough, going to be IPO'd and basically split off. And Alibaba owns 33% of that. So it'd be interesting if they do IPO, if we get shares out of those of us that own Alibaba, if we get shares into Ant Financial, which I would love, we would just hold those. But we shall see. But Alibaba, things got negative there for all Chinese names, but they've come back pretty hard, and that's by far the best of the bunch. Okay, NIO is another name we've talked about. This is kind of got below Last year got below $1 all the way down last October. Got hit hard in after March, after the sell-off, down to almost $2 and kind of straight up since there. I think you couldn't touch this here. Wait for it to fall back down, and if it doesn't, you just have to say we missed it, sort of thing. All right, let's look at IQ. You notice on these charts, very few of them, you don't see any D's up on the chart except for Tencent that pays like a couple of pennies of dividend, but most of them don't pay a dividend at all. So IQ is the Chinese Netflix, so I don't really know how to say it. IQI is generally what I say. I don't know if that's accurate or not. Has not recovered nearly as much and gone off to new highs, but it's another name that I used to hold, and I'm not ready to go back in it yet. But it's something I do keep on my radar. We're looking at Tencent Holdings. We talk about that. Obviously, you see the huge move up there. That's a conglomerate. That's the one that owns, if you want the Fortnite play, Fortnite was created by Epic Games. Tencent Holdings is a conglomerate. In other words, they own either things outright or pieces of companies. So kind of like a Chinese Berkshire Hathaway, where they own a bunch of different things. That's why it's called Tencent Holdings. You can see the move up there. Again, I wouldn't touch it here now that it's up at 66, but I do keep it on the radar scope. Okay, YY is the one we talked about earlier. It is basically a conglomerate of Chinese social media, if you will. Huya is included in that, and that's also had a huge move up. So would not would not touch it here. But all these names, I got out of them because of all of the drama with China, and kept Alibaba was the only one I kept. And it turns out I would have been fine holding most of these names through all of this, through all of the trauma. So FXI is the last one I'll talk about. That is the large cap China ETF. Now, so that's owning all things China. So put instead of FXI, which is what I would recommend if you wanted to get a China country specific, you can also use KWEB, which go ahead and put KWEB in there, which is the Chinese, basically all things internet in China. So if you want a high risk holding, you can see it almost looks like Tencent's chart there because it's got so much tech in it. So, oh no. All right, let's go over to the short world and we'll start taking a look around. All right, so on my list, we've got Levi short. Let's put LEVI up there to kind of move. We're getting out of Levi. Okay, 1383 down to 1328. So pretty much crashing down pretty hard. I think they were off it's 5.6% is that they're down. So again, pretty good. That's coming off of the earnings. That looks like a decent chart. NKLA long. Again, this is off the headline. So they closed at 40, gapping up to 44 or so on the raising it to overweight. Again, JP Morgan's the only one I've heard say anything about this company. That's good. Everybody else is saying they are not Tesla and they are not bigger than Ford. And the last one, BIIB, which is Biogen, off of the headline for Alzheimer's, which would be huge. 268 up to 289, so that's a fairly decent move. We'll look for the exact numbers here in a little bit, but a decent move long. So that looks pretty good. Okay, over to the top 10 in volume. NIO, again, on the move up. It's been on the move up. I don't know if that can continue. I would not take it for a day trade. American Airlines selling off a little bit. That's probably left over from yesterday. There's Alibaba. Man. There's Alibaba up 3% there. Off of the headline news. And then Nikola, we already talked about, up 11% off of the news. We've kind of already talked about those. All right, let's move over to the next tab. Biogen, so 8% on the way up. So the Biogen's really the heart of the envelope for what we like to talk about. It's got the plenty, it's got the 100K in volume, it's got the 5 to 10% move up, and a strong headline, something people care about is Alzheimer's. So that'll be one to keep an eye on. I like that one the best so far. DocuSign almost has the volume move up. Let's click on DocuSign and see if there's a headline associated with that. Gapping up in reaction to strong earnings or guidance. Don't see them under that. Scroll down a little bit, see here if Docu acquires Live Oak Technologies for $38 million in stock. Okay, so they made an acquisition. I don't think that's enough to get behind the name for a day trade. And Alibaba I love, but I don't think money's going to rush in at the open there. So, okay, let's take a look at the short side. Futures are still hanging out in the green. All right, GDS, low volume. Allstate, I did see that. They acquired somebody. Click on Allstate. So again, insurer. Allstate's $4 billion takeover of NGHC, which I've never heard of. So NGHC is gapping up off of the news. Allstate's going down. I don't know, possibly they overpaid. I don't see that as a tradable headline. All right, let's look at the next tab. Don't know what the first one is. Let's go ahead and check out that FTI. Bunch of gibberish in my mind. I can't crack the code on what that's talking about. So we'll take a pass on that. Looking down to volume, Harmony Gold Mining. Not going to touch a gold miner here. Alcoa, what's going on with Alcoa? Let's check that out. Okay, lost less than they thought, so that's good. Q2, so earnings gapping up above consensus. Proposed debt offering, no worries there. They're getting some money, so issuing some debt. Back out the Alcoa chart some. Just kind of see where this was. Okay, so that was what, mid-early June. It was up at the 13s. Closed at 1123 up to 1180. We'll keep an eye on that long. It's kind of set up perfect there, and that's earnings. All right. NEO, just I'm putting on my watch list, not something I'm going to trade. NEO long, but if there's a fear of missing out with NEO, people could buy that, but I don't see a ton of money going in. All right, let's check out the last tab. All right, that's the Intersect. That's the medical company that got bought by Medtronic. Not really going to touch that. Up FinTech Holdings, not going to mess with that. There's Nikola up at 13.5. Got that on the list long. That might be worth getting into, Nikola. Take a look. Yeah, let's check out IRO. I think this failed yesterday, if I remember right. It's gapping 593 up at 640. It had been all the way up to 8 a couple days ago. I can't remember the headline. We'll watch it, but I don't plan on trading it. Arrow would be a long. Just got a news about new 60,000 new coronavirus cases overnight. New record. All right, Futu Holdings. Let's click on to those guys. Part of the envelope. Oh, that's a digital broker from the other day. Futu closed at 30. They're up at 33. That would be racing off to new highs. I'll put that down. I don't think that's got a lot of legs on it. All right, 4 minutes to go, wrapping up here, and then we'll get everything set up. There's Blink up there, BLNK. Go ahead and click on that. Again, no headline, but some interesting movements out of it. It was up higher, then it came kind of crashing back down. It's a good long story. It's a EV charging firm along with PLUG. And then let's see, Tencent, but Tencent doesn't have the volume. Okay, all right, let's go ahead, click over to TD Ameritrade. We'll check out what people have in the, all right, we got Levi short, Nicola's fun, which is going to leave me with BIIB, I think. I don't know, or Blink. Interested me. We'll set up a Blink on the right. Let me look at the entry. So if I took Blink, I'll just think out loud, that'd be a 25-cent stop all the way up. So does it have a 75-cent move in it higher? I don't know. Any stop less than 25 cents from here would risk getting bottomed out there from the lows just a few minutes ago. So I don't really like the stop on that. Bring up BIIB. Again, this will be a huge stop because it's such a high entry price. So 295 to get clear of all the noise would be down to 285. So it'd be a $10 stop. Could it go to 325? Probably not. That would be an interesting zoom out on that. Yeah. You can zoom out like 6 months or so. There you go. All right. So it was up at 380. That was in February at the all-time high. March up to 350. It could run to 325, but probably not today. Look at Nikola jumping higher there while we're even just talking about it. Okay, zoom into the 1 minute on BIIB. $3. All right, I will take, I can type it in today. How are we doing on time? 90 seconds. All right, I will go BIIB long. I'm gonna do a $4 stop. I'll do 4. Risking getting knocked out of that. $4 stop. And then in at, just to get the volume out of the way, I'll say in after 1 minute and out at 8 minutes. So again, I'm giving it that delay, just that big volumes kind of can spike it around at the beginning off that first minute, and then I'll enter. Real world, I'd be looking for an entry for it to come back down closer to 292 or so and then snag it there. Okay, so that's what we've got for our trades. Geach, where you at? Is Geach in there? Blink long, got it. 15-cent stop in at the open, out at 20. All right, and we're at 30 seconds out. So get rid of BIIB. We'll put Blink in off to the right. So long, short, long as you look at these. So Nikola is, wait, Levi. So Levi's caging myself. Levi is short here. So it's short and then long. And then of course I'm long as well. All right, there is the opening bell. We'll see what we've got. Let's start with Blink. Each took it at the open with the 15-cent stop. So let's go ahead and draw on Blink. So opened at 763. So he took this long. So 63 minus 15. Oh, tough math for this morning. What's that? 48. 748. All right, there's the lower stop. And then if it gets to the top of the chart, that would be basically 1R there. So we can leave that for our markings there. All right. Nikola in at 1. Burner short at the open. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at Burner there off the left with Levi with the 15-cent stop. So entry at 113.19. And 50-cent stop is pretty large, well off the screen. So for that to get to 3 hours, it'd have to drop $1.50 down into the 11s somewhere. All right, Nikola just opened there at the 1 minute. So let me confirm. Yep, in at 1 with the 20-cent stop for the Predator. So yep, so 45.13. All right, and then add in, go back to the open and add 60 cents. So 45, okay, stopped out. Nikola stopped out on the bottom side there. So pretty tough with that stock at $45 for a 20-cent stop. That's really pretty tight. So let's kill Nikola off and bring up BIIB. All right, I entered at there. Yep, 290.78 is my entry point. And I took it long, so to look at Levi striping down. That's looking good. To what's that? To 86.78. Ooh, nice shot. So it'd have to hold that level, which already is looking. I don't mind that coming in right there to turn around and go long. All right, and then let's check on Blank is kind of just holding out there, only a few cents from the open. All right, let's see if we can draw an R on Levi to the downside. He's 50 cents, so 13.19, so they have 31.69, so 12.69 would be the first R. So even though it looks good on the chart, still about what's that, 2/3 of an R move there. Nice move up in Blink, up to the 1R point. If you can do the math, you can draw an R there. And Biogen kind of holding on there. So did not get stopped out. Again, I didn't like my $4 stop, but that's what I chose. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. All right, 763 plus, was it 15 cents? 778 is the first R, and then 30 cents would be 793 would be the second R. So Geach in the house comes back off of extended vacate for a big win yesterday, and then looking good so far today. All right, looking at if you look all the way to the left at the SPY's in the green. Let's update CNBC on a different screen here. So almost 0.5% up across the board. Boom, yeah, there you go. All right, let's see when everybody's out. Apex is busted. Right, where I'm going, you don't need roads to the stars. Is that where you're going? All right. And let's see, I'm the next one out at 8, and then Levi's out, out at 10 minutes. So got time to cook. So yeah, look at the big move up in the SPY over there. Okay, Biogen just busted out to the bottom side, so we can surf around in the middle one there. Let's look at, let's see, Levi we've already got. Nikola we've got, Biogen we've got busted. Let's look at Alcoa long AA. Yeah, that'd have been fine if you don't take it at the open. A lot of congestion there for maybe a move back higher. I wouldn't be excited about Alcoa name though. That was on earnings, not getting a lot of love. There we go. We're starting to, was it 1269? I believe was, we can draw an R for Levi at 1269. That's 1R, getting close. Let's check out Neo long in the middle pane. Wow, look at that. That would have worked if you'd had the stomach to snag it with a small stop. So Neo is going to hit 15. That is insane. Then if shout out to their website, neo.com, if you want to see some cool cars. It's worth 5 seconds of your time to check that out. All right, that is crazy. Okay, let's look at IRO, AYRO. Again, this is a continuation off the Austin-based firm. Open around 640, up at 680, up 15%. So, and going strong. Again, don't have a lot of background detail on them, but that certainly would have worked. Futu is one I really looked at taking this one, even though I don't know enough about it. FUTU, this again is the trading vehicle that's getting a lot of love. So a delayed entry there, and you've got over a $1 move in Futu. So that, I don't know, that might have required a big stop with all that congestion. So we shall see. All right, and then let's see, Blink we've already talked about. We got the trade on there, up over an R. Let's take a look at what is SMPL. L. Some higher level stuff going on there. SMPL long. All right, let's kill simple long and bring up our favorite. Check in on Luckin, see what Luckin's doing. Luckin's trucking higher, I bet. Oh, 345. I'm so happy about that. Up 4%. Shouldn't talk about it. Spooked it out of 4, but yeah. So I think obviously, I'm long this name, and I think it's just going to continue to march higher. So we shall see. All right, 8-minute point, mine's dead. Next one is out at Levi at 10. That's kind of stabilizing it down near an R, so it looks like you'll be definitely in the green. When you look at Blink all the way back down, I wouldn't, that looks like profit taking right there. So I would expect Blink to turn around and go higher here after those 2 big red stripes down. So we've got to the 20-minute mark on that one, so I wouldn't have any issue with that move at all. Okay, let's look at longer names. So we'll go over to charts and see what's going on in the market. Well, we chose well. Look at those names that we're talking about today, all 3 in play up there at the top. The DraftKings option in the green. Finally, DraftKings getting some love. DraftKings, remember we talked about like every day forever? Went from 42-ish or so, and then all the way down to around 30. Kind of crazy. All right, what else do we have? Got some Neo love coming in through text, some high fives for some other folks that should be in this room that aren't. All right, Blink up 10%. We already talked about them. 10-cent holdings we talked about. Luckin up 5. Go Luckin. It's your birthday. Alibaba, today was the day to talk Chinese names. And obviously there's 3 of the psychedelic names that are up there as well. Trade Desk, if you're not familiar with Trade Desk, that's a pretty cool concept. Moving into China and India as well with advertising brokerage, if you will. There's DraftKings up 2%. Apple up 148. If you can go to the main layout over here onto the right, let's see kind of what Apple's at. Just click the main layout tab. All right, Apple up at 378. So pretty cool. See what Tesla's doing. Tesla's over 1400 now, kind of ridiculous. All right, let's see what's in the red for the day. Not much of anything is the honest. So obviously you see the SPY is on the big screen there. Big move up, 315. We will call the W dead for the day. I do think we go higher. All right, well, let's go back to our day trades and see how we're doing. We have Levi Burner will be exiting his trade at the end of this minute. Looks like to be in the vicinity of an R. Got another 20 seconds and then we will close that out. If you can refresh here real quick, see how high the market's going. All right, up over 0.5% on everything but the Dow. NASDAQ's almost up 1%. Okay, just closed out the Levi trade at 1279. So looks to be about 3/4 of an R. We will get more accurate if we need to for Burner. So nice trade. The 50-cent stop on that, again, pretty big. If you kind of look at the entry, you don't know where it's going to open up, but at 1320, even if it opens up anywhere between 1310 and 1330, if you take a 20-cent stop there, then when it opens, now you've got your 3-hour trade. So again, all that's in hindsight. Just saying 50 cents when you think, can it really move a $1.50? Man, the bottom would have to fall out of that beast for that to happen. All right, and we have another 10 minutes on our Blink chart, but looks like Blink might be getting close to being stopped out, so we shall see. And of course, if I stare at it, it's going to hold. So, all right. So let's see any other names you want to check back on. Put Luckin up. Yeah, actually, Luckin's up in the middle. Never mind. So up above 350, 6%. I like that. And put Workhorse on the left. WKHS. It's another name that moved $1 this morning. It's kind of in the same space with all of those. For names to kind of keep a watch on in the EV space. Okay, let's talk about, we'll break from now. So far we got Burner, 3/4 of an R. We have Geach still in his trade on Blink. And let's talk about the role of custodians. We'll bring it down to Wikipedia to talk about that. Okay, so this is just so you have it straight in your mind, there's a fence basically between advisors and your custodian. So if you're out there investing on your own, you call up Fidelity or you go online to Fidelity or TD Ameritrade or Schwab or Vanguard or whoever you use, and you log in, or TradeStation. You log in and you link your bank account and you send them some money. They are the custodian. They are responsible for executing all trades. They're responsible for, wow, sorry, eye catcher on another screen. Blink just stopped out, went all the way to pretty hard down through the bottom stop. So Burner, congrats on your win today. And actually, I think I said, yeah, Burner just had a win the other day too. It was that Monday, I think. So good job, Burner, on the trade today. Okay, back to custodian. So you send them the money, they do your tax statements, they keep the cost basis, they do all of that stuff that is required by law. Okay, if you bring an advisor in the loop, someone like myself, then the fence is the money never goes to me. If you hand me a check, I have to turn around and mail it in. I can't go cash it. So I have to turn around and mail it in. If you ask me for tax statements, all I do is go to the custodian and then get the tax statements. If you ask me for your monthly statement, I just go get it from the custodian. So that's why you don't see anything from me as far as the performance sort of thing. So it's nice for an advisor to not have to worry about any of that, because I never take custody of the funds, which is a whole nother issue. And what's nice for them is they can sit back and make money by taking care of all of that stuff, and they don't have to worry about managing the account. You're either doing it as the retail investor, in your retail accounts, or an advisor's doing it for you, or it just sits there, like when people go incapacitated or pass away with an account and they don't know what to do with the account, just sits there and does whatever it is does on its own. And obviously the brokerage houses make their money on net interest margin, which again is the fact that if you have any cash sitting in your brokerage, they take that cash, put it all together, put it into bonds, so they're getting 5% on the money, and then they pay you out their 1% or whatever. They also make money by you shorting stocks. If you borrow money to short a stock, then you're looking at around 7% if you hold it overnight, annualized 7%. So obviously if you just hold it for a day or two, that's just fractional. I mean, it's pocket change, but when you take it to the billions level, it's pocket change on a huge scale, which makes sure they make a lot of money that way. They also can do loans. You can do a loan out of your IRA. You can do a loan out of your brokerage account. And if you have a high dollar account, which I would say over 5 million, you can actually negotiate your rate. And I've seen it done once by a friend through, a client that they were able to get their mortgage through Schwab at a reduced rate. So I thought that was pretty impressive. I didn't even know that was a possibility. So, and we're talking down in the 2% level, so competitive with what you would find off the street. So pretty interesting having a big brokerage account, but you have what I kind of talked about in the podcast the other day, if you listened, of if you buy a bunch of shares when you're 25 and you're now 50 and you've held those shares, well, most of those shares you can't really sell, even if it's in a taxable account, because you get crushed in taxes. So you literally can't sell those shares. But what you can do is hold on to the shares, turn around and borrow against those shares. You're borrowing cash, but you're backstopping it with the actual shares. So kind of some varsity stuff at the higher level there. So that's me talking. Let's see what Wikipedia has to say. Custodian bank, okay, let's look at the key takeaways. Safekeeping, yep. If you do find if you go in the closet in the shoebox and you find a certificated share, you can mail it to the custodian, and they will, now they are the ones who, not an advisor, but they are the ones who can take the share and put it in electronic deposit form and then destroy the actual certificate. So if you ever had to do that, same thing if you're sitting on a bunch of double E bonds, you need to get those out of your house and at least into a safety deposit box, or cash them in because they don't really make anything. Another thing while we're on it is, I don't see it here, but I'm just thinking, is the, for a bank account, you get federal insurance on a bank account up to $250,000 per account. So for those who keep over 250K in cash, don't keep it in the same bank, because literally if somebody goes in with a bandana into a bank and robs it and takes your money, you're only going to get 250,000 back. So if you have 300,000 in and the whole bank gets taken out, you're only getting 250K back. I don't know of that ever happening in the United States, but in recent history, but that's at least the rule. When you go with a broker, you're like, but I have $1 million with Schwab. Well, if you have $1 million with Schwab, the SIPC, which is securities something or other, gives you protection. So basically, Schwab pays for the insurance for everything above $250,000. So if you have $100 million, you can hand it to Schwab, and Schwab says, yes, please, I'll worry about the insurance, instead of, sorry, you don't have insurance, take your 100 million somewhere else. Like, no. So that's why they come up with it. So if you ever realized when you fill out your account application, which you do once and then you forget about it, right? But I keep them all on file, and I go through this all the time with new clients, is you actually mark on there that you're getting SIPC protection. So you don't have to worry about all of that. Okay, let's see what else is on our, they take care of dividend and interest payments. So one thing that I've seen lately, I know TDA does it, I can't remember if Schwab does it or not, and some banks are starting to do it too, is paying the interest that is due out monthly in the middle of the month. You know how it was always the last day of the month? Actually, I think it's TDA that still does last day of the month, and Schwab does middle of the month. But anyhow, that's an accounting nightmare, right? Because they're supposed to put the statements out the next day. So why wait till the last day to where, somebody doesn't have any movement at all for in the whole month? They could have their statement out right away, but they got to wait for the 2 cents or whatever to come in. So anyhow, you're starting to see banks pay out at the 15th of the month instead. All right, here's an investment advisor blurb. If you're just a reminder of the contractual relationship with the investment advisor, obviously when you fill out the form to open the account, you are opening the account, say it's with Schwab, you open the account with Schwab or TD Ameritrade or whoever, and then you're giving the advisor a limited power of attorney to act on your behalf, which gives me the authority to go in and manage an account through a separate login. Also, as a reminder, you can go direct to the custodian on anything, and I would see it. So if you text me and say, Steve, buy 1,000 shares of Tesla because it's going to 5,000. What? No, it's not. But anyway, yeah, if you do that and I'm in a meeting or whatever, or I'm on the phone and you get impatient with me because it's the opportunity of a lifetime to buy Tesla at 1,400, you can go in and buy it yourself. I will see that. Obviously, I get an alert and I see the transaction. It says client initiated trade. So it differentiates it from mine. So there's never any confusion on what I have done electronically versus what you've done in your account. And I have had that work out to where we had a watch on something and it's just like, hey, I'm flying, Friday afternoon, so I'm unavailable after 2. So if you want that, or if it hits your trigger, then you need to either I can put a limit in order in for you. So if it hits, it buys automatically, or you can do it on your own. So that's a conversation I would have with somebody if we were really waiting on some big event or some price point. Okay, they also handle the beneficiaries, and that's where I'll close on is you should have beneficiaries set up on all your accounts. You can have primary beneficiaries, which is what's going to happen immediately. And when something happens to you, beneficiaries act first before a will. So if you have a will that says, I'm going to leave all my money to my new parrot, Bob, no. What's going to happen is any of your accounts that has a beneficiary on immediately goes to the beneficiary. It does not go into probate. Okay. So if you have split up half my assets between my 3 kids, and you have one of your accounts that has one of the kids as a primary beneficiary, and that's most of your assets, that's going to move. That moves, and it's not considered in what you're splitting up. So the 3 kids would split up the rest. So it's kind of, you need to have thought through some beneficiary stuff. You can do primary beneficiaries, and then you can do secondary beneficiaries or contingent beneficiaries. And then you can also say per stirps, which is basically, it follows the law at that point for brokerage accounts. So again, those move right away. And the reason they move right away is a lot of times assets are frozen, and when somebody passes away, and especially with the big estate, it may be months before people can access that money. So brokerage accounts literally get repapered the next day as soon as you get a death certificate and they act it out. And that's something that I have helped folks with. Okay, enough on custodians. All right, let's look back up at the market. We can bring the TD Ameritrade screen up, and then I will get into the questions and chat. Obviously, the market's trucking higher, over % on the S&P, 0.75% on, over % on the NASDAQ, 0.75% on the Dow and S&P. Workhorse chunking higher, $1.50. Luckin, making me proud. Little tear right there, right? Yeah. Some folks got in at I think $1.21 was my lowest actual add. No, it was $1.16. The $1.16 was the absolute lowest that I added during the time there. It did get down to below $1, but it was falling like a rock at the time. I wanted to see a bounce before I could buy some more. And so when you talk about just the Luckin story, go ahead and back out maybe 20 days or so, or a month, whatever you can kind of come up with. I want to see the bottom of it. You might have to go out to 6 months. Wheel, that's not, oh, it had the name change. So sorry, it's not going to show it on the chart. It fell like a rock. And when you think about trying to buy stuff at the absolute bottom, if you do, you're going to drive yourself crazy. So I know there's folks that I bought on the way down. Okay, you have entry levels at $5 or $3 or down to $1, and then you get to the point to where it starts to bounce. So you just want to buy around the bottom, right? So that's what you're hoping for, especially if you have a long-term thesis that it's going higher. Okay, enough on luck, and let's take a look in here. Optimism, but we need realism. Remember, markets value very different things than economies, if you will. So really, even if you look at, people are worried about a Biden election and what it will do. Well, obviously the tax code will change. I mean, you know that. And you could even argue the tax code should change. I'm not going political here, but the Tax Cut and Jobs Act was extremely favorable. And it's at the end of the day, somebody's going to end up paying for all the free money we're giving out. So I don't know. We'll let the politicians sort that out. But once you get the new tax code, then all the numbers will kind of adjust, and then we'll be in the process of moving back higher. Yeah. Hey, great insight there, Predator, on you, Ken. You're right. If you stumble across something, say like I don't know where K-Web came across my radar. Maybe it was from you. I don't know. But yeah, when you read something or you find something like that, a good way is ETF.com. Crack that bad boy open, look at the top 10 holdings, and you can surf for individual investments. That's a good idea. All right. And there's the trades. Back to the Future Marathon. I got it. Yep, Luckin 357, up 7.5% on the day. I like. Okay, over to our question. Are there Chinese military companies? I wonder how they do. I don't know. We'll Google that while we're talking. There have to be, right? Make all of our stuff. I'm joking there, but kind of not. Because I want to say that my flight suits came from China. They certainly make equipment. But as far as sure, who makes their jets, right? The J-31, which is the F-35 knockoff. I would imagine that they're not public. That's my guess. I have somebody working on it as we speak, which may be a bridge too far, to be honest, to try to really peel that one back. It's a pretty complex question. But I would imagine they are private in a communist state. So not necessarily open market. So we're going to see what comes up here. Yeah, we can click on that. We're trying to tease it out. So there's an AVI China that we're taking a look at, that I would suspect is their trades on the Hong Kong exchange. So I don't know. We came up with that. I would imagine that's a jet maker of sorts. Transport helicopters. All right. So we shall see. Hey, new 52-week high with everything China. It's like kind of China's back, even though the U.S. is talking a big game about them. Okay. So that's all I've got for today. So a couple minutes from the close. Again, S&P is just kicking butt higher and higher. So it looks to be an overall good day in the market for long. So with that, I'll see you back tomorrow morning. Thanks again for showing up.